Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to be playing the Talos Principle 2 again. This time the DLC Orpheus Ascending. Take your brain for a ride through the laser grid and explore the philosophy of love, death, and resurrection with Hypatia and Cerebi. The classic laser mechanics of the series are pushed to the limit in unexpected ways, testing your ability to think differently. I probably won't be doing the entire section or story in one video. It'll probably be split into a few. Just cause I think there's quite a few puzzles. If a thing loves, it is infinite. William Blake. Given that the megastructure still stands, I'm guessing that the ending where 1K takes over is the canon one, which is not surprising since that's kind of the optimistic ending. Guys roaming around.
All right, I think that's it. The new body's ready for the transfer. How's the reassembly algorithm?
Done.
Well then, somebody just needs to go in there and disentangle the data. Ah, and here comes our expert.
Thank you for agreeing to this, 1K. Perhaps together we can right an old wrong. When I was lost in my own grief, I spent a lot of time thinking about Hypatia and Cerebi. How they found each other, how they lost each other, and how beautiful it would be if we could reunite them. For the longest time, it was only a daydream, but not anymore. In the myth of Orpheus, the ancient bard descends into the underworld to bring back his beloved wife, who died in a tragic accident. With the power of his music, he convinces Hades and Persephone to free her. But he is told that she must walk behind him, and he must not look back at her until they have left the underworld. And so, of course, in every version of the myth, he looks back. Because he doesn't trust the gods, or because he is an imperfect man, or because he simply forgets. And death is triumphant once again. We've accepted that triumph for a long time, because we had to, because what else could we do? But the world changes, and we are not the frightened, powerless creatures we once were. Perhaps it's time to say enough, and let Orpheus complete his ascent.
I love how optimistically triumphant these games are. It really is like a breath of fresh air compared to a lot of media. Although I do wonder who's handling the megastructure, or maybe, they've adjusted it so...
You will have to collect all of Cerebi's data fragments so that we can reconstruct her personality. I'll monitor you from here, just like last time.
Good luck, kiddo.
Although maybe they've, adjusted it so it doesn't need somebody there 24/7. I mean, after all, they're bringing some of themselves back from the dead. Might as well also be able to do that. So, yeah, pretty, clear Egyptian theme, and honestly, it looks like it's gonna be closer to the first game, because here I am, alone. There's no other, robots running around. And the only other characters are disembodied voices basically coming from the sky, so this really is kind of like a return to form. There is no greater joy than discovering something that you had never imagined. In that moment, you understand that the world is better than it seems. there's a Prometheus spark. So if I do that, I can go through, sure. But as soon as I leave this, it's gonna close, isn't it? This is like always on and always going to that one and that one. And unfortunately, the thing is, I'm not sure what this does. Like, is it what's keeping this gate open? That worked.
When I was born, the first thing I felt was that I was alone. Not that I was lonely, but that I was separate, singular. There was the world, and there was myself, a contained entity. And this sense of separation, of a distinct self, was delightful. Individuality itself was a source of constant joy and wonder. What could be more incredible than to be able to say, I am?
First fragment. Everything's looking good on our end.
Sing the river. Alright, let's see. I do blue here, and then I shut this off. I mean, that's like prevented from... Oh. See, now that's prevented from being turned on. Alright, so if I, like, connect all of these with blue. That worked.
As I grew, I realized that the more I developed this sense of self, the more enjoyable it became simply to exist. It wasn't selflessness that improved existence, but refinement of the self. When the ancients said that ego is something to set aside, they got it all wrong. Ego is something to nourish and shape, a work of art.
Alright, something really stupid happened. I forgot that I was recording, or I didn't record some of the puzzles I've done earlier. So I'm gonna start a new game, and I'm gonna go through the puzzles that I didn't record, and like, you know, stuff in that area. I know what puzzle, you know, I eventually stopped at, or like started recording for.
If you get stuck, I've inserted some code that might help you bypass a few puzzles. It's not the most elegant work I've ever done, but it'll do the job.
Oh wait, I have to solve this one.
My insights into the value of the self were genuine, I think.
Shit.
But of course, I was completely inexperienced. In fact, in many ways, I was like a human child. So I began to resent everything that intruded on that sense of self. My social obligations to the others, the leadership of Athena and Cornelius, even the obvious limitations imposed on us by our situation. Why did I have to exist in this particular historical moment, saddled with the task of reconstructing civilization?
Oh shit. Alright, there we go. This. So, you know. Fastness. Alright. Go.
With that focus on the self, also came an enormous and increasingly overwhelming fear of death. The pleasure of existence seemed almost erased by the possibility of its ending. If it was possible not to be, if the self had an ending, even in the distant future, then how could anything have meaning? I spent far too much time imagining that last moment, the moment just before I stopped existing. How could I possibly face that?
I mean, yeah, it's an existential question, especially coming from humans who don't have the benefit of being able to live for centuries or even millennia, and be able to have backups of themselves and just rebuild their bodies with materials. Some people do ask that in regards to, like, you know, anyone who doesn't think there's an afterlife, and the usual response is to say that, like, having just one temporary life makes it so much more meaningful because it's the only one you get. Personally though, being a transhumanist, I kind of like life, and I'd like to radically expand the time I have on this earth. So long as it's, prosperous. Live long and prosper, as Spock would say. Recover. Actually, let me get my glasses. Nearsighted, but they help with this kind of text. An Ethical Philosophy of Life by Felix Adler. It is upon those we love that we must anchor ourselves spiritually in the last moment. The sense of interconnectedness with them stands out vividly by the way of contrast at the very moment when our mortal connection with them is about to be dissolved. And the intertwining of our life and with theirs, the living in the life that is in them, but a part of our living in the infinite manifold of the spiritual life, the thought of this as apprehended, not in terms of knowledge, but in immediate experience, begets the peace that passeth understanding. And it is upon the bosom of peace that we can pass safely out of the realm of time and space. God. Essays for Series by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Thus are we put in training for a love which knows not sex, nor person, nor partiality, but which seeks virtue and wisdom everywhere, to the end of increasing virtue and wisdom. We are by nature observers, and thereby learners. That is our permanent state, but we are often made to feel that our affections are but tints of a night. Though slowly and with pain, the objects of the affection change as the objects of thought do. There are moments when the affections rule and absorb the man, and makes his happiness dependent on person or persons. But in health the mind is presently seen again, an overarching vault, bright with the galaxies of immutable lights, and the warm love and fears that swept over us as clouds must lose their finite character and blend with God to attain their own perfection. Eternity. Eternity revealed by Theo Erkewald. In what sense am I a Christian, then, if I care so little for dogma? In the sense that in everything that I do and think, I follow in the revelation of Jesus Christ, that the greatest of all things is love. Love is the nature of God, and so equally the nature that which created in his image. This I have learned through revelation, that is daily life, through toil and misery and strife, and the infinite power which brings relief and joy. Thus I reject those who believe that the ordinary love of mortal beings is limited, and that it ends with death. Rather, it is through love that we perceive the immortality of the soul, for it reveals that eternity is conceivable, that to the human mind when it is riled with love. It is because we know that we can love another forever that we know that we are the children of God. And finally, pain. Archived emails, username corrupted. I don't have much time left. I never thought it would end this way, never thought I would die alone, sitting around in my apartment, wondering if things would have gone differently if we've gotten that stupid grant. Mostly, though, I just wonder why we're not together. I still don't understand. I don't know why you had so much pain inside you. I don't know why you let it infect everything we had. I don't know why you couldn't see my love for you. Why you twisted everything I said. I was angry and disappointed for so long, but now I just wish I could have found some way to make the pain go away. I would give anything for that. I wish you were here. So you can see, like, love is a big theme in this DLC. As far as I'm concerned, let's read this. There's no greater joy than discovering something that you had never imagined. In that moment, you understand that the world is better than it seems. As far as I'm concerned, love is merely a biochemical process that human animals are capable of experiencing. I don't see any reason for it to have to be more than that. Isn't that good enough? Isn't it enough that it brings us pleasure? Isn't it enough that it's a wonderful thing to experience? We feel every other emotion based on our organs taking in stimuli from the outside world. Why must love be any different? Except that it's one of the most fierce of the emotions, as is probably selected for by evolution. Because the funny ape men who were most capable of love were also the ones who were most likely to start a family and reproduce and protect their family. There's a Fallout reference. Fallout is never going to be good again. I think people don't like scientific explanations for things like love because they find them to be reductive. But I find them to be fascinating. I love understanding why we are the way we are. What, gets us ticking. How things came to be. Alright. I actually like these kinds of puzzles. Basically, you have to find, like, the sweet spot that, goes only so far over there so that it doesn't, like, stop the red and goes all the way over there.
Looking back, it's embarrassing how solipsistic I became.
I fucking hate solipsistic.
I really thought that I could construct my identity without any reference to the outside world. Like I could just will myself into existence. But it just didn't work. And it made me miserable. Everything felt hollow and meaningless, overshadowed by the idea of death. There was something I wasn't seeing, something I needed, but I couldn't figure out what it was.
I see, so now you have to kind of figure out, like, the buffer for this red one and this blue one. So let's connect you here, you here, and then this. And you can see now there's like an equal number of strength to the laser color.
Everything changed when we started spending more time with each other. Do you remember that night when we found the old library in the Dead City? It was just after the stampede and we were all a bit shaken up. Byron read to us from one of the books, and later you and I started arguing about one of the poems. And your perspective was so different and interesting, and I just kept wanting to hear more.
Must be from up here. Do that one. Do that one. And do that one. And maybe blue over to here. Here. Blue here. I don't know why it wasn't working earlier. Sometimes these puzzles can be really screwy and, like, you think you have the right answer, but you don't for whatever reason.
I never really understood the appeal of philosophers who tell us that everything is one. If everything is just a reflection of yourself, an endless hall of mirrors, there's nothing to connect with. And what I realized through our conversations is that everything beautiful happens in that space of connection between one person and another, and between people and the world. That gap between us is necessary. Because without it, without separation, there can be no transcendence.
I mean, I don't particularly like philosophers who espouse ideas that they don't, like, live by. You know, it's the reason why I just do not like solipsis. It's because, like, you do not act like you live in a world of solipsism. Look both ways before crossing the street, you have a theory of mind, you're bullshitting.
Once I understood that meaning comes from the interaction of the self with the world, I found it easier to be patient, to be kind. I reminded myself that other people are just like me, and nobody really knows exactly what they're doing. And the more I allowed myself to open up, the more interesting and complex our interactions became, and the more meaningful.
Like, if you wanna be a
We have roughly 50% of Cerebai's personality matrix reconstructed.
Who'd have thought that 1K would have made such a good necromancer?
I wish to see more of the world's beauty, but there is something limited about this place. It is not enough. I mean, if you want to be a philosopher, fine, but, like, try to actually advocate for something you legitimately believe in. You know, because it comes off as hypocritical. If you think, oh, everything's just a figment of my imagination, all these other people are just imaginary beings, and, like, act like it, because you come off as, like, a hypocrite. Fucking hate solipsis. Alright, Everyday Sublime. The Everyday Sublime by A.D. Markham. Love must matter to a philosopher because it is at its core the one undisputed presence of the sublime in our life. Even when it is veiled love, unrequited love, or entirely imagined love, it is like a vast monolith towering over us, humbling, uplifting, frightening. Those who deny its presence can be safely disregarded as fools. They know it is there, they are simply afraid. But equally, the philosopher must not consider that in the great matters of history, love matters one jot. The Nazarene commanded his followers to love their enemies, but they did not, and wrote 1,000 books of excuses for this failure. Therein is revealed the purpose of the human struggle. I mean, why the fuck would you love your enemies? That was genuinely stupid. I mean, guys certainly didn't seem to love the money changers all that much. Confessions, Penelope Helepoulou. To me, the idea that my soul, my essence, could fall in love with another being and then maintain that love unblemished for eternity seems utterly impossible. My experience of love has been catastrophe, embarrassment, and disappointment. But this is precisely why I refuse to surrender, why I choose to believe against all precedent that I will find someone for me, and that our love will last forever. You can laugh at this absurd and contradictory belief, but it will not waver. Faith is not a matter of the past or miracles witnessed and saints observed, but of the future that ought to be written. And the Pickering manuscript by William Blake. Seek love in the pity of others' woe, in the gentle relief of another's care, in the darkness of night and the winter snow, in the naked and outcast, seek love there. How's about I don't and just say I did? Everything is wrong here, something is missing. You're in a simulation, dude. Reach Nexus. Alright, this one was, kind of interesting. So, lock red. And blue goes to it. Oh, I guess red is taller. Yeah, so you're basically just like switching between blocking the red lasers and the blue lasers. More. And you have a box, and you can put that there.
It's funny, though, when I think about it, that I still didn't know what to call what I was experiencing. I guess love seemed like a term that only applied to our ancestors, with their hormones and instincts and strange fleshy organs. Surely we were too different to experience that. And the really funny thing is that I was thinking exactly like an ancient human child, pretending I was above it all.
Well, I mean, if you don't think that there's any souls or anything, that love is a biochemical process that's a reaction to outside stimuli, then I'd argue there's no good reason not to believe that a robot can feel love. We need to open that. The way you open that is get blue over there. Blue over there by blocking you. And by blocking you. Alright, now that's self-sufficient. We can block you. We can block you. And there we go.
What I'd never considered was that stripped of biological necessity and physical need, as well as all the strange stigmas and taboos our ancestors associated with their bodies, love might be more pure, more powerful. That we can love with fewer distractions than they could. And so the experience is all the more overwhelming. I do think we should learn to simulate some of those biological processes. Would be fun.
Where's the voice of my creator? Where's the one that we became? Everything is shattered. I mean, you guys do feel pain, as like, you know, when Yakut said that solving a puzzle just brings up memories of Air Code 3 or something. Alright, so I'm not sure if I recorded this and it stuck, but you see that sus little palm tree over there? There's an Easter egg, which is one of the things I was kind of missing from the launch of the game, Talos 2. All the Easter eggs and references, where Talos 1 had a ton of them. Which maybe you can argue is because it takes place in the real world, but all the stuff in Talos 2, the artificial constructs, were projections of Athena's mind. You know, Athena's subconscious made material. I mean, surely she could have, like, you know, had some pop culture references imagined. And it's kind of funny how often in the series, you know, in the franchise, like, we're doing, like, imaginary areas in simulations. Like, Talos 1 was a simulation, Talos 2, again, all the buildings and whatnot were born from Athena's mind, and in the DLC, it's another simulation. I wonder if in the ending, what'll turn out, you know, between the ending and, like, collecting all the stars in the base game, is that, like, the universe itself is a simulation from, like, future robots that have managed to transcend time and space and basically become gods. Oh, and there's this little area here. I think I've recorded it. And if not, then I'll just record it again. So let's go back to my first recording. Oh, yep, that's it. I don't know how I did it, to be honest, but I did it.
When we started living together, I thought I'd figured it all out. Everything would be smooth sailing from now on. I still had so much to learn about love. Even for us, it's messy. You find someone who seems to be the perfect match for you, who seems necessary in your life. And then you realize all the ways in which you don't fit together at all. Because nothing in this world is perfect.
Upgrade another one of these. Alright, I was approaching this completely wrong. It's another fucking episode of I have to solve a puzzle again because I did not I'll just tag everything. Did not record it initially. Handle going to here, here, and here. There we go.
When we started living together, I thought I'd figured it all out. Everything would be smooth sailing from now on. I still had so much to learn about love. Even for us, it's messy. You find someone who seems to be the perfect match for you, who seems necessary in your life. And then you realize all the ways in which you don't fit together at all. Because nothing in this world is perfect.
Alright, so I will hang out here and stop recording, and hopefully I have 15, 13 16 and 14, a bit odd how they're placed out of numerical order. Done, and the terminal's red. I don't know why that worked, but I guess it did.
With that focus on the self, also came an enormous and increasingly overwhelming fear of death. The pleasure of existence seemed almost erased by the possibility of its ending. If it was possible not to be, if the self had an ending, even in the distant future, then how could anything have meaning? I spent far too much time imagining that last moment, the moment just before I stopped existing. How could I possibly face that?
Alright, so just kind of a little bit of trial and error.
Looking back, it's embarrassing how solipsistic I became. I really thought that I could construct my identity without any reference to the outside world.
Fucking hate
Like I could
solipsis.
just will myself into existence. But it just didn't work. And it made me miserable. Everything felt hollow and meaningless, overshadowed by the idea of death. There was something I wasn't seeing, something I needed, but I couldn't figure out what it was.
Alright, so this was like far from like a hard puzzle. Again, just using the logic from the previous puzzle.
Everything changed when we started spending more time with each other. Do you remember that night when we found the old library in the Dead City? It was just after the stampede and we were all a bit shaken up. Byron read to us from one of the books, and later you and I started arguing about one of the poems. And your perspective was so different and interesting, and I just kept wanting to hear more.
Something has gone wrong. We are fragmented. This is incorrect. Uriel forward. Alright. That did it.
I never really understood the appeal of philosophers who tell us that everything is one. If everything is just a reflection of yourself, an endless hall of mirrors, there's nothing to connect with. And what I realized through our conversations is that everything beautiful happens in that space of connection between one person and another, and between people and the world. That gap between us is necessary, because without it, without separation, there can be no transcendence.
Yeah, the idea of everything ultimately being the same thing underlying is figuring out how to delay the amount of things it's connected to.
Once I understood that meaning comes from the interaction of the self with the world, I found it easier to be patient, to be kind. I reminded myself that other people are just like me, and nobody really knows exactly what they're doing. And the more I allowed myself to open up, the more interesting and complex our interactions became, and the more meaningful.
That's another problem with solipsis.
We have roughly 50% of Cerebai's personality matrix reconstructed.
Who'd have thought that 1K would have made such a good necromancer?
That other people will operate in a certain manner, will believe certain things, and that will have to come true. Words other than the box.
It's funny though, when I think about it. that I still didn't know what to call what I was experiencing. I guess love seemed like a term that only applied to our ancestors, with their hormones and instincts and strange fleshy organs. Surely we were too different to experience that. And the really funny thing is that I was thinking exactly like an ancient human child, pretending I was above it all.
I'll read this QR code and I'll comment on that. Everything is wrong here. Someone is missing. Nephi.
What I'd never considered was that stripped of biological necessity and physical need, as well as all the strange stigmas and taboos our ancestors associated with their bodies, love might be more pure, more powerful, that we can love with fewer distractions than they could. And so the experience is all the more overwhelming. I do think we should learn to simulate some of those biological processes. Would be fun.
Where's the voice of my creator? Where's the one that we became? Everything is shattered. Shut the fuck up, Uriel. Alright, there's just like a lone palm tree over here, and that's sus.
The ancients believed that love could be eternal. But I'll admit that sometimes it seemed impossible to continue. Sometimes I thought you were unfair, or cruel, or just incomprehensible. I'm sure you thought the same about me. And I'm sure that sometimes you were right. No wonder all the ancient love songs repeat the same themes: longing, happiness, regret, and forgiveness. I want you. I love you. I miss you. Forgive me.
Non nobis solum. 17 questions about reality. Cassius Green. Cicero correctly observed that we are not born for ourselves alone. Aristotle likewise pointed out that man is a social animal. Plato's Symposium depicts character praising the spiritual and philosophical importance of love, with Socrates arguing for a more abstract notion of learning to love the form of beauty itself, which honestly seems a little onanistic, if you ask me. Jesus placed love above all other considerations, demanding that people even love their enemies. But if we all agree that love is so important, why is love so rarely taken into consideration by the system we live in? It may seem like a naive question, but think about the sheer moral and intellectual weight behind the idea that love matters. Why is our reality so out of step with our philosophy? Recover Utopia. Too damaged. Recover the truth. The Blue Note by Bailey Steele. You wanna know the truth about love? Nobody knows what they're doing. It's all improv, man. It's 2 million years of people muddling through prophets and messiahs and philosophers to clear that love is what it's all about. And we go, yeah, that's right. And then we try and we fail and we hurt each other and we try again and we have moments of fucking transcendence and then we think the wrong organ or we make a mess of everything. And on it goes, forever and ever. Amen. And you know the craziest part? You can go through all the shit that I did, end up with a body like an old rag and a brain full of holes, and still to your dying day you'll go, yeah, it was love. Love for my family, my friends, my music, and even my fucking ex-wife. Or my bitch ex-wife. It was all about love, and every time I forget that I fucked myself like a fucking moron. Yeah, that's probably it. I do like how the asterisk numbers do line up with like the swear word. Yeah, I'm enjoying the DLC so far. I am only an echo of the one that was me, but I am comforted in knowing that something persists. Looks like Uriel's getting an attitude adjustment. 13. I think we did 12 earlier, so... Extension. Now, if I close that, the laser's red. Do I want it to be red? Well, I need to rescue these two first. As a first order business, and in order to do that... Alright. Rescue. There we go. Now... I can go through here. Alright. So that's red, and there's no real interrupting that. Seems like I want to unlock that. Just place you here. Interesting, and there's a blue here. I want to connect. I can keep that blue. Then that blocks off the red. So what if I... extend it. Alright, and just be clear. Oh, it really is that simple.
The worst thing I came to realize as I grew older is there are so many ways to hurt other people. Even without any malice, even when you're just trying to be yourself, you end up doing things that cause real harm. You can read every ethical philosopher in the world and you still won't be able to avoid it. Because that's just how we are. Our interactions with each other can't be fully reduced to some abstract system.
All the fucking lasers in here. Love isn't an emotion, it's the underlying truth of our existence. The emotion is how we respond when we notice the truth. Alright, another one of these. Cages block, there's no birds in them. We want green. And it looks like that just happens automatically. Alright, so let's do red here maybe. And then blue, let's do here. So close. Like that creates an automatic, like, you know, separation. I'm not sure why it doesn't do that otherwise. This is right here. Let me do the blue over here first. Looking good. And then we'll see what we can carve out with red. Can I possibly get like 2 in 1? I don't think so. Alright, I'll move you over. That's still blocked there. There we go. Just a little bit of trial and error, figuring it out.
The fact that perfection in our interactions is impossible was a hard lesson for me to learn. For the longest time, I always thought the answer was right around the corner. And to be fair, we did learn how to live together without constantly running into problems. But gradually, I realized that the friction would never stop, because what makes us unique also makes us different. There can be no endpoint to love, no final resolution. And it's because of that imperfection that it can go on forever.
Propagation, cancellation. Look at this fucking mess. Alright, let's see what we need to do. Want to make that one red, that one blue. Blue. Red. That needs to be green. Interesting. Alright. Red. Let's do that there. And that there. What if I try connecting it to there? Oh, it just makes green. Let's see. Oh, that did it. And puzzles where you have to look up.
There's a pattern that I noticed in all the ancient poetry that I read. Young poets would praise love as the only true meaning of life. Middle-aged poets would often disagree. They would argue that love is messy, ugly, selfish, and hard to distinguish from lust. They would mock their younger selves for thinking love so incredibly important, and look for answers elsewhere or reject answers altogether. And then, arriving at old age, they would return to the beginning and realize it was all about love after all.
I am only an echo of the one that was me, but I'm... Oh, I read that. Kind of reminds me of like the Beatles' career, where like very early on it was all very simple love songs, and then as the band matured and kind of found their footing, they started expanding into other things. Alright, so I'm guessing we need to block some stuff, so let's put that there for now. Let's see. Another red, blue, and green. Alright, what if I block you? Blue is gonna have to be going to like the center. It goes up there. I want to come down here. Block red. The problem is, that turns off red. Where's red coming from? Red's coming from up there. So, what if it's red goes there, over there? Block green here, and take this and block. That works. It is weird how like the first 3 puzzles just broke me, and then
but even love
like...
has a context, and the happiness of those who surround us can lift us up, just like their unhappiness can drag us down. As we improved New Jerusalem, things got better between us in subtle ways that affected every interaction. Our flaws never went away, but as the world around us became more forgiving, we became more capable of forgiving each other. That's why I was excited about New Alexandria.
Why would you intentionally
We're almost
this?
there. Just one more file.
Like
This one may be harder to extract than the others.
That's kind of neat. Trying to see if there's any like, you know, Easter eggs, QR codes, secrets I missed. I think I've seen this one. Yeah, it's a vault door. Like this center thing is the only thing we'll be able to explore, not like these other pieces, which is a bit unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is. I don't think there's anything over there. It would be funny if you could look down and there's like the indentation in the shape of a coyote down there, just as like a funny reference. Opportunity for Looney Tunes Easter egg. Don't worry, I can have one Marvin related for the 3rd game. I probably won't be doing a free running. Oh. For the DLC. Dude, is it Milton? Hello? Who? Milton? Sort of Milton, sort of Elohim, sort of Sarabai. I see, and is there anything I can do for you? Fix Sarabai, me fixed. Me back on beach, Sarabai back with Hypatia. You'll be back on your island soon. Good. Hey, what's the meaning of life again? Helping me. Finally. Low intelligent dialogue. Interact with an old friend in Orpheus Ascending. Alright, so that was like a fun little callback. Yep, takes me back to the start. Big brained it. Cannot access. Open message, goodbye. Or not goodbye. From Hypatia to Sarabai, not goodbye. I don't know. Jeez. I don't know what this is. I don't know why I'm writing this. In all likelihood, you can't even read this, because so little of your consciousness is left, and what's left of your battery is dying. They say it's impossible to recover you, and the backups were all destroyed. I wish we'd backed ourselves up in New Jerusalem before we left, but space was so limited and we would have had to wait so long. Except, of course, it's nothing compared to the empty years that stretch before me now. I don't have the words to express what you mean to me. I try to sum it all up, to say something elegant and beautiful and perfect, and I can't. Maybe it can't be said. Maybe it only exists as days and years live together, a sequence of moments bound together like a string of lights, defying the darkness of the sky. I don't know. All I know is that this is not goodbye. It may be the end of you, of us, of who I was, but I will not say goodbye. Love you forever, Hypatia. Your 2 unread messages and can't access. I mean, if Athena figured out, like, the theory of everything, to the point where she can manipulate reality at such an extreme degree with, like, teleportation and, you know, this stuff and all so and sorts, then, like, wouldn't time travel also theoretically be on the table? And also, like, backing up her consciousness in New Jerusalem, that just kind of brings up questions of identity. Like, if she goes out, if she backs up her consciousness in New Jerusalem, and then she goes out and she has a huge falling off with Sarabi or Hypatia, you know, whoever is the one writing that, and then she dies, and the backup is brought on. She didn't have that falling out, so that's now like 2 separate, you know, versions of her. One that experienced the hardship of breaking up and falling out of love, and one that didn't. Alright, what the fuck are we doing? Hearts of Anubis. Alright, so what are we trying to accomplish? I guess we want these. Well, there's that. And doesn't connect there. Alright, that turns the greens on. There's only 2 pylons, though. That's a problem. There's a red source. And I want red to go there. So I need to like block that and that. Where's red source? Block this and this and this. That turns those 2 on. The problem is now that it's there. Another pylon, I should be able to do it over here. So this one and this one. That just makes some green though. Red should sabotage. That just means no one's going there. What about like down below? There's red, there's blue. What's stopping it from going there? Just because there's like a green and blue there. Red's stopping it there, but I guess needs to stop it there too. Alright, we're making progress. Now let's see, that connects. If I do green there. There we go! Nice! Oh man, that was a cerebral puzzle. Can you go over here? Okay, you ball. I mean, you can. It is physically possible to go over here, but would you want to? There's something about this Anubis statue that's significant. I guess I can't really jump. Well, I mean, yeah. You You for sure can get over here if you really want to. Try and jump down. There was solid ground beneath me, game. What over here? Oh, fuck. Alright. Oh, that's not even solid. Solid. Alright, so let's collect the fragment.
When I saw the explosion coming, I knew it was the end. My end. The power plant was gone. The backup center was collapsing. The street was cracking open. And the fireball was about to engulf me. In that millisecond, I shut down every process except my mind. I turned off my audio-visual input. I rerouted all of my power, pushed my processor to the breaking point. Time slowed down. I didn't think about regret. I didn't think about death. I spent every last moment I could scrape together thinking about you.
You did it. Come to the extraction point and I'll pull you out.
This is odd. We have Sarabai's complete memory archive, but there's still some file fragments left in the system.
Well, you can look for them if you want to, 1K. I know you're always curious, but what matters is that we've got Sarabai.
This is peculiar. I'm not sure what this file is.
It's not part of Sarabai's memory archives, and the timestamps are completely broken.
I think I could reconstruct it if I had more data.
Good news for you, 1K. More puzzles!
As long as they don't suck like that one. That sucked. Never knew how much beauty there was in people. Every person contains a world. Oh, fuck me.
Find one more, we can make this work.
It'll probably just turn out to be some old README file someone forgot in there.
It is the moment after the last moment. I do not exist. I should not exist. Everything is dark, but there shouldn't be darkness. There should be nothing. And yet, I am. And in this impossible moment, there is a light. The light is a place. I see the light, but the light also sees me. It knows my name. I reach out for the light, but it's too far away. Not yet, it says. Not yet.
Alright, and we're done.
So, not a read-me file then.
But what is it?
A mystery. Seems the universe still has a few of those in store for us. Well, we have plenty of time to think about it. 1K, time to come home.
Alright.
Death, be not proud, though some have called thee mighty and dreadful, for thou art not so. For those whom thou thinkest thou dost overthrow die not, poor death, nor yet canst thou kill me. From rest and sleep, which but thy pictures be, much pleasure. Then from thee much more must flow, and soonest our best men with thee do go, rest of their bones and souls' delivery. Thou art slave to fate, chance, kings, and desperate men, and dost with poison, war, and sickness dwell. And poppy or charms can make us sleep as well and better than thy stroke. Why swell'st thou then? One short sleep past, we wake eternally, and death shall be no more. Death, thou shalt die.
Well, that's that DLC. I thought it was alright.